This here is a Skoda Enyaq, and in my opinion, it is the best electric family SUV currently on sale. And in this video, I'm gonna tell you guys why. If you're new to the channel, guys, thanks for stopping by. I'm Chris. I have this channel dedicated to testing EVs. I do range tests, charging tests. I drive EVs down to 0% battery to see just how far you can go on a full charge and what happens when you hit 0% stated charge, so you guys don't have to test that out for yourself and be stranded next to the side of the road. I do that for you. So if you like EV videos, if you like these type of videos, please be sure to drop a like on the video down below and also subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell for future videos. Before we dive into the details of why I think the Skoda Enyaq is such a great vehicle, let's start off with what I don't like about the Enyaq, and that is the exterior styling. I mean, it's not ugly, it's not offensive, but it's just a bit boring and bland in my opinion. And from this angle, it kind of looks like a minivan, doesn't it? I mean, the front end with the grille is kind of bold and looks good, but from the headlights and backwards, it kind of looks like a minivan. It's just so boring and bold, and I think its corporate sibling, the Volkswagen ID.4, is much better looking. It's just kind of weird that they made this look so much more boring. And then you have the fake vents here on the front fender. It just looks weird. Move around to the rear end, and I think the Skoda design language works much better, but overall I like the ID.4 much better, and I'm not a huge fan of the way this looks. Step into the cabin of the Enyaq and you'll quickly forgive its boring and bland exterior design, because this interior is such a nice place to be. And in my opinion, I think this is the nicest cabin, the best put together, and the best looking in this class of vehicle. I prefer to the Mustang Mach-E and also the Volkswagen ID.4. I mean, materials are top-notch. Soft touch plastics are of high quality. You have this leather covered dashboard, which is padded, soft to the touch, with contrast stitching. You have that same contrast stitching here with the leather on the center console. The, physical buttons and overall quality of materials and the ambiance and the way this interior looks, in my opinion, brings this car up to a premium level compared to those competitors. I really do like it a lot. And then you have the practicality. So this cabin is huge. It's even bigger than what you would find in an ID.4 because the trunk is bigger at 585 liters. The front cabin is the same size, so it's wide, it's airy. The dashboard is pulled away from you, so it just feels spacious. The rear seats also, I mean, with the flat floor, you can fit 3 abreast with no problem at all. The Skoda Enyaq shares much of its cabin tech with the Volkswagen ID.4, and I've actually made an in-depth review of the infotainment system, the primary and secondary controls of this car. So if you want to dive deep into that, you'll find a link in the description box down below. But I'll give you guys a quick overview. So in front of the driver, you have this 5-inch display that shows you primary information such as speed, outside temperature, time, range, and also a small battery indicator there. You also have a huge head-up display in this car that is an optional extra, which also has augmented reality. I'm going to overlay some video there so you guys can see what that looks like. That is quite awesome. And then you have physical buttons on this steering wheel, and these I do like a lot. These are nice and clicky. And you also have a scroll wheel for your volume. That is much appreciated. You have pedals here for regen, and you also have a stock down here for your cruise control. That is also very, very nice. Down here you have your shifter, and you also have your parking brake, or to set the car to park, you just pull that. Down here you have secondary controls, which are physical buttons, much appreciated. And then you have the display here, which is 13 inches across, and it does share some of its UI with the Volkswagen ID.4, but it has some important differences that makes it better, such as this panel down here where you have shortcuts to, your home, your settings, your favorites, your phone, and also your menu. You can also just adjust the temperature right on the screen here, and also activate your heated controls. And then you can also swipe here. You have this customizable home screen, which is just nice and huge. So I prefer the infotainment system and also the primary and secondary controls of this car compared to something like the ID4. I mean, it's not perfect, but it's good enough, and the screen is nice and bright. It looks very pretty. But if you guys want to see it more in detail, link in the description box down below. Out on the road, the Skoda Enyaq is very quiet, very calming, and very comfortable to drive. I mean, this car puts an emphasis on comfort, and compared to something like a Volkswagen ID4, the suspension is set up just a bit softer, fitting the character of this car, yeah, very well, because, you know, Skoda generally doesn't have a sporting DNA. Yes, they have done some racing in the past, some rallying. I don't think they compete currently in the WRC. But I mean, Skoda isn't about sportiness. Skoda is about comfort and affordability. And this car is, I mean, it's super quiet. Here on this twisty road doing 50, 60 kilometers an hour, there's barely any tire noise at all. But take it out on the motorway, at highway speeds, it's still super comfortable. Wind noise is kept to a minimum, and also tire noise, even though this car is equipped with 21-inch wheels. The Skoda Enyaq is currently available in 4 different battery pack and drivetrain configurations. Kicking off the lineup with the IV50, it has a 52 kilowatt-hour net battery capacity, a single rear electric motor with 148 horsepower. It also has a WLTP range of 340 kilometers, but is limited to 50 kilowatts of maximum charging speed at a fast charger. That car starts at 348,000 kroners. Then we have the IV60, which bumps battery capacity up to 58 kilowatt hours. You also get an upgrade on the rear electric motor, giving the car 204 horsepower, and you also get a 409 kilometer WLTP range. Fast charging or rapid charging is upgraded to 100 kilowatts, and this car starts at 387,000 kroners. Above that sits the IV80, which is the car I'm currently sitting in. This car has a 77 kilowatt-hour net battery capacity, the same 204 horsepower rear electric motor, and a WLTP range of 528 kilometers. Rapid charging is now upgraded to a maximum speed of 125 kilowatts, and this car comes in at 455,000 kroners. At the top of the Enyaq food chain sits the IV80X, which comes in with a 77 kilowatt-hour battery pack, but has 4-wheel drive via 2 electric motors, one on the front axle, one on the rear axle, for a total system output of 265 horsepower. That car does 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in 6.2 seconds. It has a 460 kilometer WLTP range and the same 125 kilowatts of maximum charging speed. That car comes in at 484,000 kroners. In the week I've had the Skoda Enyaq, I've done extensive range and consumption testing on this car. So if you guys want to check out all of those videos, you'll find a link in the description box down below. Some of them are, really nerve-wracking, especially the one where I drove this car down to 0% state of charge. I was sweating until the very end. So check that video out if you want to see how that went. But what I have found out, what I have concluded with my extensive testing, is that you can expect around 400 kilometers of real world range with this car at a speed of around 95 or 100 kilometers an hour. That's about 60 miles an hour at, 12 to 16 degrees Celsius and on dry roads. And that is pretty darn good. And even if you, raise the speed to 110 or 120, you'll still probably get like 370 or maybe 380 kilometers of real road range. And that means you can go about 3.5 hours between charging at motorway speeds. And yeah, that is not bad at all. And then you have the charging time from 10 to 80%. I have clocked this car till 34 minutes of charging time with an average speed of around 95 kilowatts, and that is pretty impressive. Not bad at all. But there are rumors that all the MEB platform cars, that's this, the Audi Q4 e-tron and the Volkswagen ID4 and ID3 with this battery pack, the 77 kilowatt hour battery pack, will get an upgrade in the near future to 170 kilowatts of maximum charging speed, and that should drop the 10 to 80% time to under 30 minutes. Before I drove the Skoda Enyaq, my opinion was that the Volkswagen ID4 was probably the best electric family SUV out there on the market, but that car was ruined by an infotainment system that didn't work half of the time, and also the UI that's just cumbersome, unintuitive to use, and then you have the touch capacitive and touch buttons for every function in the car. That's just frustrating to use. This car fixes a lot of those problems because it has an infotainment system that has worked 100% of the time with no hiccups at all. A little bit of lag here and there, but I mean, it's nothing compared to the issues I've had with the 6 ID cars I have had on loan. And then you have the UI, which is much easier to use. You have shortcut buttons for stuff you're using all the time. And then you have the physical buttons on the steering wheel, and also the secondary controls. Just makes this car so much easier to live with and use on a daily basis. The exterior isn't as pretty as the Volkswagen ID4, but you know, it has a bigger trunk, it has a nicer cabin. It's also shown to be a little bit more efficient on the road. Yes, it is a bit more expensive, but for that you do get more kit as standard. So as things are now, I think this is the best electric family SUV on the market, because it takes a great SUV like the Volkswagen ID4 and it just, you know, does it better. No, it's not as pretty, and that is my only, you know, huge gripe about this car, but I think in a different spec with different wheels, it would look good enough for me. And if you live in a market that doesn't sell Skoda, I really do feel sorry for you, because you're really missing out on an excellent and great electric family SUV. So guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please drop me a thumbs up down below, and for more car content, as always guys, please subscribe. See you guys later and goodbye.
Cloudless skies in the midday.